Thank you, Matt and Suzanne, distributing the agendas for the meeting of the annual congregation.
Yeah, she's good.
Beverly, this one? It's no law of Moses, but Presbyterians do have book of order. So in accordance with the requirement of the book of order, all church meetings must begin and close in prayer. So let us pray. Oh God, whose body we are so honored and privileged to live our life with meaning through your body. As we begin our meeting, annual meeting, to tend to the business of this congregation, we ask for your presence and the spirit of guidance and wisdom. Be with us in this next hour. Amen. I now am the moderator of this congregational meeting, and the quorum, this is a teaching moment, is 20% of the active membership, which is 35. So I think we have 7 members present, so we haven't met the quorum. And let us just, I would like to first acknowledge the January is the new year with the new set of officers. It's the beginning of the new term. We have elders who are the officers of the leadership of the church for the congregational life who serve 2 terms. And they can serve up to 6 consecutive terms. Then you go off, and at least for 1 year, you take a break until you feel so called to serve again, you may. So I would like to acknowledge the outgoing officers from the session. That is Susanna Cooper, Matt Dyer, Christy Dyer. Right. Thank you. Thank you for leading us, carrying the shape together with people who seem to continue to serve us, with Miguel as a building manager, and treasurer is Rob for intaking, and distributing treasurer is Leah. We would like to thank all of you for keeping us going another year. And we just, as you recall, we had a congregational meeting to elect the new session members. And just to remind you again, they are Suzanne Sweatman, and Mike Dole as a new addition, with Barbara Allen continuing to serve, as is Rosemary, and Magaya. These are your ruling elders. One change is how we serve the valley. One of the things was the making this building available. And library, thank God, have been able to move back. And the counseling service that has been extended from this church the person has retired, Sally has retired. So right now, we do not have a regular tenant. So it's something for everybody to remember. If you hear a worthy cause organization needing a space, we are available. And please share that with Miguel or anybody in the session so we can consider them. As we move forward, again, if the book of order is sort of like the law of Moses, I might get scolded for saying that, we have our own mission statement. Just like Jesus proclaimed, these are the things that I've been told by God to do. We have articulated that as a congregation. We would like to read it together again. It is printed on the agenda. the mission statement of MS Springs Community Presbyterian Church. Does everybody see that? Okay. Let us recite it together. Our mission is to serve God and His family by welcoming and caring for the children of God in all their diversity, loving one another unconditionally as Jesus Christ loves us, sharing God's gifts openly with one another, service and growth in faith, studying, worshiping, and serving God, guided by the Holy Spirit in our journey of faith, acting as partners with our faith communities, cultural communities, and agencies in service to the village and valley, shining the light of God's love to the world around us. An additional thing, besides offering a space, is we continue to serve the valley through a food pantry. Thank you to those who, Laura is right now in charge of the food pantry ministry with Glenn's help, and he often applies for Lutheran funding to help us with the funding for the food pantry as well. And we cannot, when we lose a member, we are never the same. Losing just in terms of a physical presence. We remember John Andres, our dear brother. Almost it's been a year. Then we say goodbye to Effie Bowles. She was there at the installation service. She came to the meet and greet, and that was, for me, that was part of the only few times I got to spend with her. But I know you have many memories that you can cherish and share. And more recently on Christmas Eve morning, John Charles. These are the people who are forever part of the life of this congregation. So I would like to honor them in lifting up their memories. Now I would like to pass on to Matt to present us with the 2025 budget.
It'll take me a little bit to set this up for everybody, so if you give me just a few minutes, I'll get everything plugged in and kind of established.
So while he is doing that, you will see, some of you know the word per capita, and to my horror, it has been incorrectly explained to some of you as it's a fee. It's a membership fee. No, we don't do membership fee. It's a money that it's not an obligation, but it's an invitation for this congregation to be connected and be part of the work of the larger church. So certain percentage goes to the presbytery, and certain percentage goes to the synod and to the general assembly. These are the mid-councils. And this year, the suggested contribution, which we have been complying with, is $37. And different church, sometimes in addition to pledge, they have, today is a per capita Sunday. Everybody brings this $37 due, you know. We don't do it that way. We do it because everything that the coffer of the church we have is by your generous offering. So out of that offering, we take and to give it to the congregation. And alongside that, there's a unified mission. Every year, by the decision of the session, we have been giving $200 for the actual mission of those agencies, not just for the supporting the, what's the business word, like overhead or the administration work. So you will see those mentioned in that budget. And just to give us a bit preparing, some of the things that's coming up on the agenda, today we'll be approving terms of call. This is an agreement between the congregation and me as a pastor, that we will go through that. And it's not the session, but it's you, the congregation, the members of the congregation who approves the terms of call. Yeah, thank you to Rob and Shannon, who very quietly keeping track of the membership attendance of the church. I thought it's kind of nice to know. It's helpful in different ways to know, when we tend to have more people or small people, so we can plan the worship accordingly, and also the budget as well. So average of worship attendance has been 22, and I think, is that what we have today? Rob, have you had a chance?
24.
Oh, okay, so we are above the average. That's very good. Now, and unusual thing we do. Usually the congregational meeting is just approving or accepting, because you don't have to approve session, approve the budget. So you get to see the inside working of the financial operation of the church, and also approving. But this year we are doing something addition, which is we are changing the church bylaws because the situation has arose, and this is something I didn't realize. Well, I knew I, as your pastor, I'm not a member of the congregation. I am a member of the presbytery. So the church bylaw said, okay, as a corporation, like the public corporate, non-profit corporation, pastor is the president, and all the ruling elders be the directors or officers, But it didn't really make sense for the pastor, that may change over time, to be the president, because pastor is not really a member. So when I mentioned, I'm the corporation president, my pastor colleague, as well as the leaders of the presbytery, said, really, that's different. So that was explained to me. So now we are going to be changing the bylaws, the section of the bylaws that, if you like to see, I can see it, but I can just read it to you. We have a section of the bylaws that reads, in section 17, the pastor shall be the president of the board of trustees. So we'll be changing that language. I'm just running down just quickly, so when we come to it, you know what we're doing. The connection.
I remember that one was.
Well, there's one way that I'm here, but there's a reason we can't get to that. Oh,
Almost.
I think it's because it's running off of the battery, so that means this outlet is not working.
yeah.
Yeah. That's not gonna work. Yeah, I just remember trying to use that electric griddle when we were flipping it. Okay, let's see if that works. Yeah.
We have insurance.
Oh, while we're talking about the review of the life of the congregation, because Matt mentioned that, the Easter pancake. We'll be doing that again. Okay.
Do you guys think that? Or if I move that a little closer to that wall, is that too hard for everybody to turn around and look that way, or would you prefer it be in front of us and smaller?
I like it there because it's.
You can see it a little better that way.
Yeah. If you video this, something, feel free to choose. Yeah. Sit back. Feel that over.
Try that. I'm just gonna play this. Yeah, it's fall. Okay, that's not perfect, but can you guys kind of see it? The numbers are gonna be pretty big when I put them on there, so you should be able to see it. Okay. Did we pass out? Did you guys get that? Oh, okay, you guys got it. Okay. Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to just show you guys a couple of slides on where we ended up in 2024. And then I thought we'd go through the papers that Christy just passed out just a minute ago. Okay, see, these are pretty big, so I hope you guys can see them. Get out of your way. So I just wanted to get real simple. This is a little simpler than last year, but I just simply wanted to show everybody the account balance that we had last year was just a little over 62,000. And where we're sitting today, this time a year later, we're sitting with an account balance of a little over 69,000. So I wanted to share that good news story with everybody and show everyone that we're little over $6,000 greater, than where we were. So we're starting to kind of dig ourselves out of that trench a little bit. And this is a graph that I showed everyone last year. And of course, it was missing 24, but the story last year was that back in the early 2000s, back in here, when David was telling us, hey, we had a little bit more money in the bank, we all agreed we wanted to try to get back to that so that we had a little bit of cushion. I just wanted to be able to reflect that down in this zone. And since about 2018, 2019, we've been decreasing somewhat, but because of all of our effort this year, you can see that we're starting to trend back up. So I wanted to show everybody how that plays into it. So that's a good thing for us. And that was really exciting to me, and wanted to share that with everybody. And then I was going to show everybody the tithing and offerings goal that we had established at the congregational meeting last year. Whenever we were going through the 2024 budget, we had established a goal of just over $68,000 last year. And through Leah's December reporting, we came in just shy of that at almost 67,000. We were $1,200 to $1,300 under our goal just barely underneath. And if you all remember before, 2022, 2023, we had established a tithing goal of 50,000. So when we all gathered up last year, we got pretty ambitious in trying to really balance our budget. So we set it quite a bit higher and we just about achieved that. So that's something to be very proud of. We all really worked hard towards that. Barb and the committee on Forward and Faith bringing in money. Christy working tirelessly, coordinating the trail sale and all of the coordination that went on with that and all the different initiatives that we have. In addition to all that we each individually given, so that's really a.
Even that blackjack we brought in.
Yeah, tipping with the pancake breakfast, the Easter and that kind of thing. So, I thought we would take this time to just go through the draft that Christie circulated. And the first thing I need to say is thanks to everyone, James, Dee, Takako, Leah, Rob, getting the money deposited, everybody, Rosemary. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes trying to track all this stuff. And I forwarded out my draft to Takako and to Dee yesterday, and Dee called me yesterday afternoon, and I got to apologize, Dee. I was not the greatest conversationalist yesterday whenever we were talking through this. But she saw some things on there. She's like, hey, I don't know if this adds up exactly right. I was having a hard time getting everything to add up. So there's maybe a little bit of discrepancy in the bottom line we're showing here. But I have confidence that we're probably within $600 to $1,000 roughly of what our overall expenditures are this year. And there's also an initiative that James has been working on, and I think Rosemary's been in those conversations, Dee has as well. As we move forward, we're going to be aligning our reporting format to be a little bit more consistent with the annual reporting that goes out for the church so that it lines up with that. And it's a little bit easier to digest. Dee and James have been working on pulling the formatting of some of our reserve funding donations that we give that are earmarked for specific things up to be a little higher in this format, so it's a little easier to read.
And I feel like this is also appropriate place for all people to share our deep appreciation for Frank, who has been doing the bookkeeping review, the financial review that is required in presbytery, but also with his recommendation, the session will consider, so we can always see it getting better, you know? And thank you.
Right. Sorry, I don't really know where to stand in this new format, so I'm trying to figure out where you. I feel like I'm in y'all's way, and then I'm back there, and I'm like, I'm behind everybody. I'm like, where do I stand? Okay, so with the papers that you guys got, I tried to keep this real simple. So the first page, up at the top of the first page, underneath the blue heading, that's our income for the year. And then the bottom half of that sheet, the second page, are our expenses. So if you look at the A column, 2024 totals, total income, we were sitting at just over 74,000. We're just under 75,000, depending on how you that. And then for our expenses, total expenses, we're showing around $71,000 at the bottom of page 2. That's the part where I probably have a discrepancy because I couldn't quite figure out where we had recorded the Forward and Faith, the $600 that we had expended. So Dee and I were chatting about that yesterday. She's going to work with Leah to get into the details and make sure we get that recorded properly. So I think we're pretty darn close to that $71,000 number. If you ignore the 603, I think 71,000 is real close to where we get. So then what you do is you move over to column B. So column B is why we're here today. That's what we all need to agree on as a group as part of the congregational meeting. So what we're presenting to you in column B is the draft 25 budget. So what we did first was we kind of worked this backwards in a two-step process. Now we look at what all of our projected expenses are going to be for the coming year. And then once we all agree and kind of nail down what that forecast is going to be, then we come back And we set our sights on the projected income that we need to balance out those costs. So just, I'm not gonna hit all of the lines here. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention is I tried to keep this simple, so it's very easy to read. But as a group, when we were going through this, if you look at each of these line items, I have another sheet that's got a commentary section out here on the right-hand margin that talks about what we discussed as a group for each line item, how we molded over, we debated it, okay, it's more expensive this year, or it's cheaper, or insurance is more expensive. So if you guys want that in-depth discussion on how we arrived at this, then I'm happy to email that out to everybody. I just trimmed that off so that it would print easier and be easier to read today. But my email's on the church directory, and I'm happy to email that to anybody if they've got questions. Are there any particular line items, Takako, that you would like me to go over? I think we probably want to look at insurance is one. Let's start at line 19. So on the first page, line 19, where we talk about pastor pension, medical, life insurance, disability insurance. As you look at those two numbers, you see last year $15,000, this year $8,400. So there's a substantial savings there that I know we've discussed previously. That $8,400 is broken out into roughly $6,000 of medical insurance and $2,400 for the balance. So that's how we arrived at that $8,400 projection.
And if you wonder why it's so much lower this year, it's because the Presbyterian denomination changed the pastor's package. And it worked out for our advantage because I don't have a dependent. But it was a controversy because the way we got that saving is those pastors, young pastors married with kids, the church is no longer obligated to provide health care for the family. But they are only for the pastors. So, you know, we are complaining, we don't have a young pastor coming in. Of course, we are not making it easy for them. But the reason from the church was because oftentimes the pastor have a working professional, working spouse who have their own, you know, but not everybody. So this was a kind of a controversy. But for us, it cut the cost of the church to support me.
Stay happy.
Yes.
Sure hope so.
Yeah.
The second line item, I think, where there's a pretty significant change would be on the top of the second page. If we look under the church home category, line 33, you see a building maintenance category there, Miguel. You know, last year we were targeting around $400. This year, you see that number's around 2,000. Part of that jump was twofold. One, we wanted to be able to put some budget in there to do some building inspections to assess our existing infrastructure as we were getting insurance quotes. I think we programmed $800 or $1,000 to account for those inspections. And then we wanted to be able to leave about the same amount from last year, roughly $1,000 for building maintenance after we paid that inspector. I know Miguel and you guys are both familiar with those costs. Electricity was a little bit more, line 35. I guess the next biggie would be down in 37 and 38. Last year, we had presented the liability and property insurance numbers together as an aggregate. This year, James and I were talking about that earlier in the year. We decided to split that into two rows so you could see the differences. The liability, that bill was paid, and it's around $1,221. So I just plugged the actual number in there for our forecast. And then property insurance is at 4814C. So, sure.
So what happened was we had an insurance item. Then we got dropped by Church Mutual, as did many other, I think as a homeowners, maybe you can identify with the came with the wildfire risk, and yada, 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 yada. So we lost insurance altogether. Before it was bundled, both liability and property. So we, the coverage, we had a sort of discount for having it bundled, right? This year, because of the fire hazard that we got labeled in, the insurance agent said the only one where we can get it is the vehicle, different companies for liability and for property. And because the insurance agent was able to find property where most insurance company would not even consider us because of our location, Liberty Mutual, who is not really factoring in the fire score, was able to take us. So the liability itself is higher because we are not higher compared to what we were paying, which was like only around $500. It got higher because we are not bundling it with one company. But we were surprised that property insurance damage policy actually came out $4,800. So still altogether, we were pretty close to what we were budgeting last year. And I think the number we actually paid for 2024 total is higher because that includes that payment we just made in December for this coming year, which was the actual number that's in the budget. So next year, this year, towards the end, we will find out how much they're gonna raise it. Then we know how we need to adjust going forward.
And that topic caused the session a little bit of stress this last fall, because there was a period of time where we were uninsured. So it was really a topic of discussion in every meeting, like, what are we gonna do to address this? And we can pleasantly tell everybody that these new policies were in effect the first and second week of December when they got paid out, so we're protected right now in case something happens. So that made a lot of us feel better that we're taking care of that aspect.
Propane, when I was looking at this yesterday, the propane from, it did show here, from 23 to 24 went down. And whoever it was that came up with this brilliant idea that we, during the winter months, have service down here, I think it's great. So I just want to mention that it went down. I think that.
But I also wanted to mention that the reason that we were able to quickly come up was because Miguel swiftly contacted the people, because the insurance company would not even consider our application unless we came up with a clean bill of health in terms of plumbing and electricity. And Miguel coordinated and did it pretty quick. I don't think it. Now we know we have a clean bill of health, in terms of plumbing and electricity.
The last line item I was gonna draw attention to was in the middle of the second page under sewer. So line 42 is where sewer is. And you'll notice last year our cost came in a little over 1,000, but then we had that rate hike this year. So we took a look at that and decided to project out a little bit higher this next year so we can account for that sewer rate increase. So we've got 1,500 plus years. That all boils down when you roll all that down. Yeah. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Don't finish, and I have a question.
Okay, yeah, I'm just about to keep running. So our projected expenses are that 68,822 that you see in the lower right-hand corner. So then what we do to offset that, once we've got a projected expense total of the 68,000, then we come back to the first page. And right there on line number 1 on the first page in the upper right-hand corner, we just set that offering budget to account for that total expense. So that we balance out our total income at the same 68,822. That's how we balance it. So I hope that helps everybody.
Yeah. Matt, I had a question about lines 48, 49, and 50. why do we think our bank fees, nonprofit filing fee, and technology Zoom website are all going to come down? One of them is quite a bit.
Okay, so on line 48, that was the one. Here's what I think happened on 48. Is that at one point around October, November, I think Leah had mistakenly taken our post office renewal. There was about $100 post office box renewal fee. And she had recorded that, I think, as a bank fee. I think there was about $100 out of that 136. And we were gonna ask her to adjust that back down to be under postage to kind of keep the post office stuff together. And I was noticing when I went through all the numbers yesterday, I don't think that $100 ever made its way back down to postage. So I think the 50 that we're targeting under bank fees is still legit. The line 49 under technology, Zoom and website, that's the one Dee and I were chatting about yesterday. And I'm wondering if Barb, the $600 that we paid for that hold the date flyer, I forget the artist lady's name.
Oh,
Amber.
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot that. I think on the Forward and Faith campaign, there was a roughly $600 amount where we paid to have some material generated. I think Leah might have that recorded in line 49. Does that sound like what we were talking about? So Dee and I were thinking, well, maybe out of that 1,100, when we paid her, we might have recorded it there. And then I came back afraid I wasn't gonna capture it. And I added line 56 under Forward and Faith, and you'll see I captured that 600 there. So I think I double dipped accidentally. And that's what Dee said she and Leah are gonna work through and see if they can get to the bottom. So
okay.
Susanna, long story short, if we back that $600 out, the 400 may not be far off the mark
Okay.
if we get it.
And the nonprofit filing fee came down?
I don't
We
remember. our
did it last
discussion on
this
that.
year, so we had to file it, like, when we realized that incorporation lapsed, and that was like $48 or so filing fee.
Okay.
That we would do it before the May deadline.
Okay, and then just one more question. Thank you for those answers. Did we actually not pay any year-end bonuses last year?
I can't remember that we did. And
We
we
did for
were
the,
talking about that last year we did, but
I thought we did, but it wasn't in the budget. But maybe it got not recorded that way.
The Congo did we?
We did in 2024.
In 2023,
But it says 0, so.
Yeah, so we made it up.
it was probably recorded in another line.
Yeah, we need to work on that too.
I remember 0, so I might have recorded something wrong.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't remember us talking about that.
I think we did something.
It makes us feel bad. So I was thinking, really? Did we not do that? I know for sure last year.
Yeah, on the online giving fee of 135, what does that, if you give online, are we getting charged? The church? It's like a fee, right, for the use, for having the service,
Yeah.
just like a credit card thing.
Yeah. If they can charge, they will.
Like sometimes
Oh,
you give online.
You're talking about,
Oh, okay, not checks, no, we're done.
talking about like the PayPal.
Yeah, I think there's a percentage on the Banco account that you make $100 donations. I don't remember if it's 3% or what it is. As we report that.
Yeah. But if you give a check in the mail, and it comes to our PO box, and Rob takes and deposits that check, there's no charge on that.
Correct.
I am present with all the questions, so I think, I mean, I really appreciate that everybody cares so much, and thank you for putting together.
Sure.
Thank you, Matt.
Well, I got to thinking after our chat yesterday, that's part of what makes the church so good here. I mean, Dee called me and goes, I don't know if this is lining up. And I said, well, I don't know if it's lining up exactly either. But I think that questioning attitude is a really good thing. It's a really good thing that we're looking at all this. And that's why we're starting to come out of that dip, because we're all working together to try to get into the details and make this right. That's why we're a successful church family. So that's a really good thing. And we're doing well. I just wanted you guys to see we're ahead of last year. And our reduction in it, another takeaway, a closing takeaway, is that some of the reduction in our expenses, like what I call the overhead admin fees, pension, medical, life insurance, you saw the big reduction in that Chicago explained, as well as reasonable insurance costs. It allowed us to set the mark on our targeted tithing goal a little bit less than how ambitious we were last year. So my thinking on how successful are we going to be in 2025, we've set the goal as a very reasonable target. So I think we can do more than achieving that. So that's exciting too.
Thank you. And thank you for Susanna's leadership for the grace and gratitude for people's inspirational sharing why we give in this church and what church means to us. Thank you for that.
On the heels of that, could I just ask if you've given a talk to the church for grace and gratitude group? I'm wondering if you haven't given me a copy of what you said yet, I'd love to get that, because we'd like to include some of them in our cookbook. So please, if you have it in writing or could give it to me in writing, I'd love to. Mike, Christine, Dean, whoever, yeah, Barb, yeah. Thank you, Barb. Yeah. Well, maybe I have Barb's. Yeah. Thank you.
On that?
Yes, ma'am.
On the page, line 50, the calendar day,
That's what you explained for today, and directions for the postcards.
Yeah, Mark, on that 56, the very bottom one, the forward and thing, I recorded that. I added that line and recorded that $600 as an expense because I was scared that we hadn't captured it elsewhere. And I was just trying to pool all of our costs together so that we establish a targeting.
She's asking what money was spent for.
I think that was for Amber's design.
Yeah, you guys will have to explain that save the date flyer that we had her draft up.
Was it design?
Yes.
It was a design of the,
And Mark came and showed us a draft of it and what it was gonna look like, and it seemed like that was summertime, I think, I don't remember exactly what it was. But it was really nice.
So Shannon has dropped out, maybe.
I think this is gonna be kind of weird questions. On line 22 on the first page, for the choir director Zoom music video. That's a small amount.
That was put in there for covering substitute. Like sometimes when they're not available, they pay for substitutes. It's low, I'm donating.
So, okay, so you are pro bono.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not. Sorry about that. A low amount for a great job that you're doing.
Thank you.
It takes a lot. Absolutely, we're so less a lot, so thank you. So, yes.
Thanks, James.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Sure.
Thank you very much for taking into questions
And I put the terms of call stuff is on the next one. If you guys want that, like you asked me, I added that.
And because the giving is a faith practice, right? It's an expression of your dedication and what you share with the work of the church. And today we talk about discipleship. I invite you, now I think I have everybody here who are members. We have this rule of thumb I inherited, it has been a rule of thumb. What defines active membership in this congregation after you've been received by letter of transfer or reaffirmation of faith? The active membership, which the presbytery requires us to keep track of, the rule of thumb is at least attendance by Zoom or in person, one worship a year, and one giving a year, which is not a high demand, right? So, and this doesn't come up. I invite you to invite people who have not made that next step to become a member, to consider that. I have some people are pretty sad about, they have their reason for not becoming a member, even they are part of a worshiping community, and there's nothing, the only thing is that them being part of operating, all the work that it takes, but those of you who have become member knows this is the work, and he is using our gifts. Each of you bring the gifts. And so if you can speak in terms of, it's not just responsibility and extra work, but it is really opportunity to share the gift that we can give. So throughout the year, I invite you to let people know, in that in terms of the bar, it's not very high, is right now, the session can change it, but right now to be an active member, it needs to be only once a year worship and giving. If you think that's changed, we can discuss that, but that's what this church has been doing. Then the people who have never come still are surprised when they're told, well, you're not active member. People are surprised. People think it's like you're born into the church and you're always in church. That's right. Yeah. So if they have desire, it doesn't have to be session member. If you have a desire to think about the meaning of membership, I'll be happy to hold a space for the discussion. Yeah. I think that we don't know what is happening in people's lives, so we've been erring on the side of just being welcoming, but yeah. How is this sometimes? Shannon?
I can't talk because I'm not a member of the congregation. Somebody did it for us.
Yes, you have privilege.
I was forward in faith thing. I just wanted to give a little viewpoint where we were right now, myself, Barb, Siggy, and Dee, and Dave, Barley, and we're still working on it. Wheels kind of came off our energy this last summer, and so we're going to try and see if we can find a better way of getting at this. Because the people we're trying to invite to give right now are not the ones in this room who we assume are already doing, this, that's but those who have a fondness for this church, who may not even live here anymore, who have disposable income that this would be a good benevolent thing for them to do, and they may have it due to here. Or wherever, and so we're still working on that and trying to get ourselves. So that's what that is, but it's kind of a sidebar thing, in a way compared to the rest of the discussion here that we're going to go outside of our boundary a little bit for that. So that's just an update. So,
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so if we do not have any other question,
I'm sorry, Matt, awesome job on this presentation on the budget.
Thanks.
Do we need to make a motion to approve the 2025?
so the budget is approved by the session. We just present to the congregation. But I think we knew there were some loose numbers that we did not know. That's why it's a draft. So maybe after this, now that we have some more clarity, maybe we can make adjustment, maybe we can approve the finalized one. February.
Yeah, I might have misspoke the way I teed that up, but you guys can take this as your guiding light and then do the final tweaks on it, and then at your session, we can.
Yeah.
Ratify it.
And what congregation does need to approve is the next thing I'm going to ask Rosemary to present to you, the terms of call, which is already up in the screen.
Maybe a little hard to read. I tried to focus on as best I could. That's the first and second page they just sent me, and then I have the third page is on the next slide if there's something you need to point out.
And this is something that I will, after Rosemary speaks, I will invite a motion to approve.
Please correct me if I get something wrong, because, what it breaks down is the amount of money that we pay towards and to Chicago per year. Her salary is $24,000. She's a 20-hour part-time workman. So we have that. For as far as benefits go, income protection coverage, pension, death and disability is 10% of her effective salary, so that's $2,400 for that. Medical dues, is $6,000, and that's the number that went down, right? That's the number went down. And as Chicago said, that we learned, at a meeting with the San Diego Secretary, people with families, they really didn't have it hard. Ours went down, as Chicago explained earlier. Compensation not included in her salary is $1,250 for continuing education, $600 for automobile expense reimbursements not communicating. I'm sorry, I'm sitting in the. I should probably just look here. $1,836, that's, the tax, percentage for total thousand. And so the total comes out to $35,986 is the total cost to the church or employee organization. The other comes into vacation and leave time for Chicago. It's 4 weeks vacation, 2 weeks of study leave minimum, which you've done, and 40 hours sick leave, which is very generous. Office supply, that's for mileage, $150 mileage.
It's $150.
Well, that's the pay for people who
Oh,
substitute
who
with
come
these
here.
times.
Right.
Supply.
Study leave, continuing education funds can accumulate for up to 3 years. When applicable, all costs include paid parental leave of at least 12 weeks. And then there's a policy going to look to for anything additional to that. All calls and call renewals must show for the renewal leave, which is to be granted after 6 years of their congregation. expected leave of clergy renewal leave is the 2026.
2025.
Was that eight?
Yeah, it's not,
That's okay.
actually, yeah.
Okay. Okay, primary responsibilities. Provide regular preaching, worship leadership, and bulletin preparation. And we've got 40 hours, 40 minimum hours
Maybe a
minimum
month,
per month.
that's sort of, you know.
Yeah, probably 40 hours per month. Moderate meetings of session, 2 hours a month. Administer the sacraments as agreed to by session, 1 hour a month. Administrative leadership and tasks. She prepares and reviews the session and meeting documents. Insurance and financial matters are managed by the session in consultation with the pastor. Currently, the receiving and dispersing treasurers are members of the congregation who are not serving on the session. Communication regarding the use of the church, collaboration with community organizations is led by the pastor. Church cemetery information, electronic document filing, and duties requiring technology, such as music lighting and Zoom, are being managed by members of the congregation who are currently not serving on the session. Represent the church in dealing with outside organizations and cultivate community connections at 10 hours a month. And communication through website, email, newsletter, accounts, et cetera. The only thing that's not showing up here, and I'll just read it, if I can read it, page 3, is ministers are employees for income tax purposes and receive a W-2 at the end of the year. They are self-employed only for Social Security and Medicare taxes and pay SEC. Does the pastor receive a W-2 and pay CEQA? And the answer is yes. Are there any questions? Okay.
So do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the terms of all as presented.
I second.
Okay, ready for the vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, thank you, for another year. Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Rosemary. So now, changing of the, yeah, I covered other things. So changing in the church bylaws. Section 17 of this is what I explained, that we are trying to have a session member who's sitting to be the president. So to change section 17 of the current bylaws to be amended by the congregational vote so that an acting ruling elder, that's a session member, be elected by the congregation as the president of the board of trustees rather than the pastor. Do I have a motion? I so move. Second. All in favor? Then please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. This allows us to now suspend the annual meeting of the congregation and open the meeting of the corporation that we are. So do I have a motion to transition from congregation meeting to meeting of the corporation? Second,
Second.
all in favor? Now I call the meeting of the congregation. Election of the corporate officers, Rosemary. I would like to present to you. So this is the session has already elected with the help of the well, actually, yeah, with the for the election of the corporation. So as a corporation, we have those officers.
Right, and the officers in consideration are Michael as president, myself as secretary, and my question now, is there any nominations from the floor for any of the people that like to be considered? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Do I need a motion? I forgot to say the motion. Need a motion. Motion to accept, I'm sorry.
Motion.
Okay, gotcha. Second? Okay, now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. So we will be amending, we update that information every year, and then we file it with the New Mexico State. So now do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting of the corporation? We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Now we resume that meeting of the annual, oh, did you take my agenda? So that I don't do anything. Okay. So now the thing to do as a congregation is we are to elect the all church nominating committee. This committee is the antenna and eyes and ears throughout the year to encourage and identify the people who they feel called to serve and are willing. And we are very happy that Dee and Rob have agreed to continue to serve while Barbara steps down and Mike Doe will be the session representative on the church nominating committee. Okay, so do I have motion to form the church nominating committee with these members? Second, any discussion, any nomination from the floor? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, we have the church nominating committee, so early in the year, that's wonderful. Thank you. Now, do we have anybody, or I'd like to open before we close, anything you want to discuss that cannot be discussed over food?
When I was announcing about the directories, I forgot to mention, not until the second time I emailed them out, I got a change of address from Charles Hutchinson. So I can, if anybody wants to contact them, let me know and I'll send out an update to you. So anyway, the electronic version will be updated.
Well, let us close with a prayer. So gracious God, we give you thanks for your very felt presence of your spirit through this congregation. Be ever present throughout the year. Move our hearts, move our bodies, move our mind to dedicate our whole selves to you. And we give you thanks that we have this congregation to do it through your body, the beloved Son, Jesus Christ, in whose name we pray. Amen. Thank you very much, and let us enjoy the food and fellowship.